Hello everyone, thank you for watching Edupedia World videos. So in this video, we are going to discuss about starting and stopping an SAP system. Okay, starting and stopping SAP NetWeaver ABAP system. So here we are going to discuss about the ABAP stack basically, and along with that even the dual stack because it consists of both ABAP and Java components. So every SAP system needs to be start and stopped sometimes when some maintenance tasks are scheduled. Okay, say like some parameter changes, okay, or if you do an SAP upgrade or a database upgrade, whatever it is. So generally in the maintenance task, you need to stop and start an SAP system. So we'll see what are the commands which are used and how to do this process. When you start SAP NetWeaver, you start the system database, the application servers, and the respective process of which the system consists. In general, the database starts first and then the instance. When you start the central instance, the database starts automatically. However, the database does not stop when you stop the central instance. You have the SAP software and at the backend you have the database. Both are linked. Okay. So when you start the system or you stop the system, you have to start and stop the database also. Okay, that is very important. So an SAP system has n number of instances, and the central instance or the primary application server is the one which generally resides on the same host where the database is. So you can either first the database needs to be started and then the SAP systems, that's the primary instance, and then the other instances. While stopping, you have to stop first the SAP system and then the database. For an added installation ABAP plus Java, when you start and stop ABAP instances, the corresponding Java instances start and stop automatically by default. To deactivate the automatic start of the Java instances, set the instance profile parameter rdist/j2ee start to 0 in the transaction rset10. You must restart the Java instance separate from the ABAP instance. However, when you stop an ABAP instance, the associated Java instance always stops too. Now, when there is a dual stack, that is ABAP and Java, when you stop and start the ABAP instance, even the Java instance also automatically gets started and stopped. You can't do anything. However, you can set a profile parameter rdist/j2ee start in rset10. In the last video, we have discussed about SAP profiles, okay, where we can define various parameters. So if you set this particular parameter in your default profile or the instance profile, okay, then the Java instance and the ABAP instance can be started separately. But when you stop the ABAP instance, the Java instance will always stop. Starting and stopping SAP systems and instances. When you start the SAP system, you simultaneously start the system database, the application server, and the respective process of which the system consists. In simplest case, an SAP system consists only of a database and a single application server. When you start your SAP system, even the database also starts. In the simplest case, you have an SAP system where you have only one instance. Starting and stopping the SAP NetWeaver application server. Use the profile to define, among other things, which process are to be started or stopped. The profile is automatically generated when you install your system. You can change it later, right? So SAP, each instance gives some set of services like the work process. So in your instance, in your profile, you define like what all services this instance has to profile, and the profile is by default created when you install your system, and later it can be changed also. You can start and stop the SAP system and its database using operation system tools. Special scripts are available for this, or you can use the appropriate program icons. Okay, so we have various operating system tools, okay, and special scripts. Okay, and in Windows you have the respective icons for starting and stopping the SAP system. You can start and stop the SAP instances with CCMS. The prerequisite for doing this is that the database and at least one instance have been started. So using CCMS, okay, from there also you can stop and start the SAP system. CCMS is the central transaction, okay, in SAP. So for this, first you have to log on to the SAP system. That means like your database and at least one SAP instance should be started for starting and stopping the other instances. So this CCMS option means like it's doing from SAP. If you have to do from SAP, first your database should be up and at least one instance should be up. So this option will only work if one SAP instance and the database is up. Otherwise, you by default you have to do from operating system level only for starting and stopping the SAP system with the corresponding database. Starting and stopping SAP NetWeaver ABAP under Microsoft Windows. So in this video we'll discuss about two major operating systems, Windows and Unix. Unix consists of all other flavors like AIX. Okay, AIX also comes under Unix only. The commands are almost same. Okay, because these two operating systems are widely used, we'll discuss about them in this video. Proceed as follows to start and stop the ABAP system underscore Microsoft under Microsoft Windows. Starting. Start the Microsoft Management Console that contains the SAP Snap-in. Okay. So you log on to the Windows server which has the SAP installed on it. Okay, then you open this MMC, Microsoft Management Console. You have to install this whenever an SAP system is installed on a Windows server. MMC, okay, this provides the interface of accessing your SAP system and doing various administrative tasks. So you select the system ID. So this is how it looks, the MMC is. Okay, so you open the MMC. Okay, so the SAP system is the SID, so I have just covered it. Okay, for confidential reasons the SAP system ID is just covered and you have the various nodes under it. So select the system ID and open the context menu by right clicking. You select the system ID and you right click it, then choose start. The database, all ABAP instances, all additional process of your system are started. If all instances icon appear green, the start was successful. In case of add-in installation, that is ABAP plus Java, the Java instances are automatically started together with the corresponding ABAP instances. So here what do? You go to the main node, okay, and these are the different instances under that. So you right click it and you say start. Okay, now for stopping, here also you go to the MMC and when right clicking you say stop. So here also if it is an dual stack, that is ABAP plus Java, both are started and stopped automatically. If everything is in green, that means like everything is running good. Or else for stopping, if everything is grayed out, that means like the stop command was successful. Okay, so here you just open MMC, you go to the SAP system, you right click and you say start or stop on the system, the actual SAP system node. So all the instances, ABAP or Java or all the services are start and stopped in one single step. So this is under Windows. Now under Unix, starting and stopping. So while starting, you log on to the host of your central system as the SAP administrator, SID ADM. Enter start SAP all to start NetWeaver ABAP. The database, the ABAP instances and all other processes for your system are started on this host. In case of add-in installation, the Java instances are automatically started together with the corresponding ABAP instance. So here, if it's a Unix system or an AIX system, you log on to the host where the SAP system is installed, okay, and there you log in as an SID ADM. SID is the SID of your SAP system. Say ABC is your system name, so it is ABC ADM. You log in with that user and you say start SAP all. Okay, all means like all the instances in the database, the primary application server along with the other instances plus the database are started. If you have a Java also, that is also started along with the ABAP. Now, stopping. You log on to the host of your central system as SAP System Administrator, SIDADM, and you say stop SAP R3 to stop the ABAP. Okay, in case of added installation, even the Java is also stopped. The stop SAP command with R3 switch does not stop the database simultaneously. If you want to stop the database also, you have to use the command only just stop SAP or stop SAP all. Okay, while stopping, you can stop either only your SAP system, or you can stop the database. Okay, see, for starting, it doesn't make any sense like database is stopped and SAP is running. Without database, the SAP system does not function. Okay, so you have to start both database and SAP. Okay, you use the command start SAP all. However, while stopping, there may be certain conditions or requirements when you want to just stop the SAP system, okay, and do some operations on the database. Okay, so for that scenario, if you use the command stop SAP R3, that means like only your ABAP will stop, not the database. If you use the command only stop SAP or stop SAP all, then the database will also shut down. So here, this is the difference. So this is under Unix or AIX flavors. Okay, so you have to log in to the host where your SAP is configured. Okay, so you log in with the SIDADM user ID. Start SAP, the command is start SAP all. For stop SAP, you can use either stop SAP R3 to only stop the SAP part, or if you say stop SAP or stop SAP all, it will stop both SAP and database. And if you have a Java instance also, the dual stack systems, the start SAP all also starts the ABAP plus Java instances plus database. And here stop SAP R3 will stop the ABAP and Java instances. It will not stop the database. Now, starting and stopping the SAP system on Windows. Now, this is the one. If you want to start or stop the instances, okay, starting and stopping the SAP system under Windows, if you want to start or stop the individual instances, you can start or stop the SAP system with the SAP MMC, that we know. With the newly installed SAP MMC, you can only start or stop the installed SAP instances locally on the host that you are logged on to. If the SAP MMC is configured for central system administration, you can start or stop the entire system from a single host. Now, we can have many instances in the SAP system. So in Windows, if each instance is installed on a different host, okay, so then for each host you will configure an MMC, right? So you have to log into each MMC to start or stop the SAP system, okay, the SAP instance on that host. But if you configure the MMC in such a way that it is centrally configured as a central system administrator, so here in this node we will have all the instances listed even though they are on a different host. In that case, you can start or stop all the other instances on different hosts also from the central system. You start the SAP MMC on the SAP host by choosing start all programs SAP. You go to this management console, you right click the system node and choose start or stop. All instances listed under this system node will start or stop in the correct order. If the SAP system is installed on multiple hosts, that's on a distributed system, you have the following options. You start or stop the SAP instances using the SAP MMC on each host, or you add the remote instances to the SAP MMC configuration to start or stop all instances from a single SAP MMC. So here, when we are discussing about starting and stopping of individual instances, okay, two things you can do. First thing is like, I have different instances on different hosts. Then you have to log in to each host, open SAP MMC, and you have to say start or stop. Okay, but you can also configure your MMC as a central system administration, where from the central, on whichever host you have configured this central system administration of your SAP MMC, there you will able to see all the other instances which are configured on other hosts also. Okay, then from this MMC only you can start or stop all the instances which are configured on all other hosts. Okay, so that option is there in Windows. So either you have to log in individually to each of the hosts where the SAP instances are, start or stop them, or you configure centrally all the hosts, all the instances on different hosts on a single MMC, and from there you can start or stop. Now, starting and stopping SAP systems and instances using commands. For now, Unix flavor, we'll be using the commands for starting and stopping. So you can start and stop the SAP systems and instances using the start SAP and the stop SAP commands. Yes, we have seen this. Now, starting an SAP system. If you want to start SAP system instances separately, enter the following commands. Okay, so say like I want to start my instances separately. Okay, in one single shot only. I don't want to start my central instance along with the other instances. Okay, then you'll follow this commands now. So SAP has come up with two different styles. Previously we used to use this old style. However, now even the new style is also used. So the basic command doesn't change. It is start SAP. Okay, then here it says like R3 or J2EE. If we have J2EE, a dual stack. Okay, so in the old style we'll give R3 or J2EE. Now in the new style we give -t, -task. Okay, so this parameter is added, and then you give the instance name. Okay, and in the new style we have introduced -i. Okay, there you give the instance name and you give the virtual host name. Here you say -v and the virtual host name. So that is the old style and the new style. The commands are same. However, slight additions of parameter values have been added, like -t, -i, -v. That's it. But the actual commands and the inputs doesn't change. So if you want to start only one instance, you say start SAP R3 if it's an R3, or if it's a J2E instance. Okay, and you give the instance, okay, with the host name. Understood? In the new style you say SAP start SAP -t R3 or J2EE -i the instance, and -v the host name. Okay, now we are talking about starting and stopping of different instances, okay, which are on different hosts, or they can be configured on a single host. If you want to start or stop the instances separately, then you have to strictly follow this order. For starting, always the first thing is like the database should be started, then the primary application server or the central instance, and the dialog instances. Okay, so you have to follow this order. And if it's a dual stack, then you have to start the database instance, the SCS, the central instance, and the dialog instance. So that's why you can't start first and dialog instance and then start the database and then the CI. No, you have to strictly follow this order. If you have multiple instances, they can be on different hosts or the same host also, whatever it is. And this is the command. Okay, the start SAP, you give whether it's a R3 or a J2E instance, you give the instance name followed by the host name. Stopping an SAP system. If you want to stop all SAP instances running on the same host, execute the following command. You say just stop SAP or stop SAP all. Okay, if you have all the instances running on the same host, you give this command, stop SAP or stop SAP all. In the new style, just like stop SAP all -t, that -t is introduced. That's it. Now, if you want to stop SAP instances which are running separately on different hosts, then you say stop SAP whether it's R3 or J2EE, the instance and the host name. Same as the start command, start SAP command. Here you give stop SAP. And in the new style, you see stop SAP -3 -t R3 or J2EE -i the instance and -v the virtual host name. Okay, and you have to strictly again follow the sequence for stopping the SAP instance. First, you have to stop the dialog instances, then the central instance, and then the database instance. For stopping a dual stack, you have to stop the dialog instances, the central instance, the SCS instance, and then the database instance. Okay, so it's just the reverse. Starting database CI dialog, stopping dialog instances, central instance, and then the database. If it's a dual stack, it is the database instance, SCS instance, central, and dialog instance. That's how you stop. So starting, you start the database, the SCS, the central instance, and the dialog. See, just these two are reverse. Okay, ABAP, dialog, CI, database. For stopping, here database, CI, and dialog. Again, for starting, you start the database, SCS, central instance, and the dialog. For stopping, you stop the dialog instances, then the CI, SCS, and then the database. So it's just the reverse, and this order has to be strictly followed if you have multiple instances, especially on multiple hosts. Like if they are on a single host also, you have to follow this order. And in Unix, we have this commands like start SAP. You can give the instance name, whether it's a R3 or a J2EE. Okay, then you give the instance name and the host name. Okay, for stop also we do the same thing. Stop SAP, R3 or J2EE, the instance and the host name. And this is the new style. Okay, both we can use. And in Windows, the option for you have to always log on to the SAP MMC, the management console. There, if different hosts instances are on different hosts, then you can actually log on to the MMC of each host and stop the instance there. Or you can configure all the instances in a central MMC, and from there you can operate. You can start or stop the instances which are on other hosts also. That's about Windows. Okay, so this is about starting and stopping of SAP system. So the actual work we'll be doing from the OS level only. You have to log on to the OS host. There, for Windows, you have to open Microsoft Management Console and do the things. Okay, but in Unix, you will have to log in with an SAP user ID, that is the SID-ATM user, and then you have to do these tasks. Now, the other important thing is like you can also start or stop the instances from SAP, from the CCMS. Okay, but however, in this case, the database and at least one instance should be up. Okay, that is again important here. SAP CCMS means you are doing it from SAP, so you should have the database and at least one instance to be up to start and stop the other SAP instances from SAP level. Now, one more thing is like if you have a dual stack, okay, if you start SAP, okay, ABAP, then the Java will also start. But if you define this parameter on disp J2EE underscore start to 0, okay, then you can start ABAP and Java separately. But if you stop, both will stop at the same time. The other important thing which we have to remember is you cannot at any point of time, you cannot have the SAP system running with the database shut down. Okay, so that's why for SAP to run, always database should be up first. That we should remember. However, while stopping, you can stop the SAP system and you can keep the database up for certain maintenance tasks. You know, if you have to do on the database, then what we do, we shut down SAP and we perform the database operations on the database, the maintenance tasks like Oracle upgrade or patching or whatever it is. Then you can restart the database and then start SAP. Okay, so these are the commands. Okay, so first we have discussed about starting and stopping all the instances together from Microsoft Windows, okay, and then in Unix also. And then if we have different instances and if we want to start them separately or stop them separately, then what is the procedure we need to follow, that we have discussed. So in Unix or AIX, basically start SAP and stop SAP are the commands. Okay, and in Windows always you will need to log into the Microsoft Management Console to do the activity. So this is how MMC looks like. Okay, so you have the SAP system system ID, and you have the different instances which are running under it. So this is about starting and stopping of ABAP system or a dual stack, and this order is very important for starting and stopping. When you start the system, you start the database first. If it's a dual stack, then you start the SCS instance, then the central instance, and then the dialog instance. Okay, for stopping, always you will have to stop the dialog instances first, then the central instance, then the SCS instance if you have a Java stack, and last the database. So this order we should strictly follow, otherwise it will lead to various inconsistency problems. Okay, so by mistake don't ever shut down a database first and then stop SAP. Okay, so we should be very careful and cautious, and this order is very important, which has to be followed while starting or stopping the SAP system. Okay, thank you.